$1,000 this week, and it's only the top two placing in the money, Tom.
Yeah, why not? Usually there's no third parties here, man. Only the top two, Jamerson.
Yeah, exactly. Only one. Well, I guess two can win out. And so $700 going to first place and $300 going over to second place. And let's start talking about some of the teams that we've got because, like I said, this is going to be a sweaty lobby. We got Sentinels, Rogue, Complexity, TSM. So many heavy hitters are coming in. And of course, we've got all of the unsigned teams as well. And so this is an excellent opportunity, really, to try and get some extra tournament practice before we head into the LCQ.
Yeah, and we saw 303 just dumping on kids last week, and they were pretty good in the tournament as well. Their skirmishes were really good, but sometimes the circle can be really unforgiving, and people tend to get in more skirmishes in the weeklies than they do in the actual tournaments because that people want to test their team fighting skills, which I'm all for. So I want to see how slow this is going to get played. I want to see how fast it's going to get played, and we do have a lot of heavy hitters. You're right; it's going to be intense.
Yeah, speaking of course, teams that just like to get into skirmishes right now. I mean, we've got Complexity, who have kind of slowed it down a little bit, but they're no strangers to taking team fights, along with TSM, right? We've seen that roster really change up their kind of play style instead of playing for center zone, taking more control in the early game to pick up those early KP that they were desperately missing, and I think was a probably what was missing from the formula for their wins, even though they were super consistent across the last 7 months of online play. It's just they were never really able to pick up as many KP, even though they ended up coming in second, third, fairly frequently across those tournaments.
Yeah, I love how Complexity plays, but when it comes to TSM, I want to talk about them for a second. I want to see Mac. I want to see Albrili on Pathfinder instead of Gibraltar, no matter what the map is, whether it's King's Canyon or it's going to be World's Edge. So why it's like Hal on Wraith. Why would you not have the best Wraith player on Wraith? Why would you not have the best Pathfinder player on Path? So personally, that's what I want to see. I want to see reps playing Watson. I want to see the old school team comp back. I think if they just continue to play a little bit more and they already grind a ton, that they're just going to get back to their old form. And everyone wants to see them play at their best. Even though they've been consistent, I think a lot of teams still want to see them, or a lot of people want to see them win and play at their best because when they do, they're just as exciting as any team in the world. Complexity does it. They have a different play style, but TSM has that thing about them too, and they just play so confident.
Yeah, their confidence is well deserved. Well deserved. One of the most winning teams, of course, here in Apex Legends, along with Team Rogue coming in, and so Rogue still having some difficulties as well, right? A few struggles. Same thing. I think a lot of teams suffer from right now. Finding those early KP, even though they're one of the teams that are absolutely cracked if they can get center zone. They've got the G7 scouts in hand. They've got the long range distance weapons to pick up KP. They are one of those teams that will be oppressive once they find it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see who's down to fight early and who's not down to fight early. And I think that you're right. There's a lot of teams that struggle to find those early kill points because some people are getting in unexpected fights, whether they're getting contested at a spot or they're just making a rotation. And some people are down to fight, some people aren't. And if you're not down to fight and someone goes in on you, you're gonna die. So that's why you see these confident teams like Complexity was one of the teams that you would just be terrified of if you were looking for a spot to land, and you know that back when they were going epicenter every single time, and you land a refinery. I would say 8 to 9 times out of 10 they're going to charge you, and sometimes you'd still be looting, or your loot path would be split up, and one person's split up, and if they get one down, they're going to get all three. So that's what it's nice to see all the best teams here. I'm really excited.
And how they would badger that team as well, right? Like if they get
Yeah.
that, well, if they get that one kill, you're absolutely correct. They would spend the next 5-10 minutes hunting down the rest of the squad, and they do a really good job of rotating now as well. With the addition of Ice Shiny, I feel like as much as I loved Lou on that team, it just feels like they're playing like a completely different style. They're playing a little bit more cohesive, and I feel like they're a bit more honed in on exactly how they want to play, and so we're seeing more and more out of them. Again, though, about teams also wanting to skirmish. One of the best team fights out there, it's going to be Sentinels. And so Sentinels were able to get first in their lobby, picking up 55 points. And we're no strangers to seeing them having that kind of performance.
Yeah, Sentinels, landing Sorting Factory. You don't want to mess with them. Don't land Sorting Factory. They're not going to split the loot with you. They're going to take the strong side. They're going to go and kill you, and they're probably just going to sit there and wait for other teams to rotate around. Circle goes, pulls Sorting Factory a decent amount of times. We've been seeing a lot of like Mirage, almost like west side, northwest circles. I want to see more like fragment side. I wouldn't mind seeing things more on the south side. I like the lava city finishes. So sentinels is in a great spot to rotate no matter where they are. It's kind of like harvester. It's kind of like fragment where there's a lot of POIs that have to come towards you, and you can kind of choose which way you want to rotate, and it's usually free.
And that's the other aspect, right? About playing in these weeklies along with playing with scrims is that you need the circle knowledge. What are the circles like now? We don't quite know exactly how it works. Everyone has their own kind of like system, but the best way to really get attuned to it is of course to get as much practice as possible, get to the late game, and see these final circles, to see the kind of trends before we head into any kind of major weekend. And so that's what I'm going to be interested to see, definitely for sure. I would like to see. I mean, typically for a lot of these tournaments, it seems like there's a definite favor for how the ring pulls. Right, there are some online tournaments where we see like 2, 3 Lava City circles, both in EU and NA, and such. And so we'll see how the trends work out today. Remember, it is going to be a best of 4, and so typically that's not the same kind of tournament format that you have for the ALGS, for the summer circuit, and everything else. This is a much shorter format, and so that kind of changes how people play out.
Yeah, and the reason we do it shorter is because these are weekly, so you don't want to wear people out. These guys just played in a tournament 2 days ago. They're already back. I'm sure they played yesterday. So they're just nonstop grinding. They're just putting time in. And that's how you learn these circles, like you were talking about. Not only learn the circles, but you learn how to rotate, and then you learn how to take a checklist of certain places that you want to hold, right? Do you get the God spot? Is there a second tier God spot, third tier God spot? So you got to just kind of go through, find the resistance, and then just hopefully no one comes and tries to take your spot, because if someone comes and takes your spot, you're liable to get third party depending on how the zone is. So shorter format, a lot more fighting, but a lot of good teams in here, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we also forgot to note that this is all going to be on World's Edge. We haven't made the swap on over to Kings Canyon quite yet, and so hopefully one day we can do that, because I do miss Kings Canyon. Right, having watched scrims of Kings Canyon for like over a year, and now I think we're almost about what 10 months on since the release of World's Edge last year, and so I would definitely love to see that if we can maybe move it on to the future, do 2 and 2 or something. But I also like just having the consistency factor because it's such a short format, only 4 maps, 2 out of 2 for both maps. It doesn't really, I think, properly express how consistent these teams can play.
I think a lot of teams want to play World's Edge too. I think that it's more of a comfort thing too. Is once scrims really picked up, once the ALGS was announced, that's kind of like when World's Edge dropped. So a lot of teams really started to form. A lot of orgs started to come on board. They started to scrim and practice, and the tournaments were all on World's Edge. So they have this thing about World's Edge where they know a lot of the zones, and Kings Canyon's had updates to it and things like that. So with updates comes like superstitions of where the zones move and are the zones actually changing, and they have to because the scenery's changed, right? So it can't be the exact same thing. So I think a lot of teams struggle to know exactly where these kind of unpredictable zones are going to go. And then World's Edge is just has kind of just a different completely flow to it. We know about Kings Canyon's loot seems to be a little scarce, and also just how small it is for when it comes to you know how many people can be on this map within a very small area.
Hey, we have also seen though that like when you go back to Kings Canyon, even though there have been some map changes, teams still look very comfortable on it, right? 3, 4 POIs have been changed across maybe the last year, and so we still have a lot of the same circles that come out, and some teams definitely do perform better just because they have that experience, right? For over teams that definitely weren't scrimming at that same time, and so if you look at teams like North, if you look at teams like Triumph, these players who have been scrimming since basically week 1 of Apex Legends, they have both that experience on World's Edge and on Kings Canyon. They bring in such a wealth of experience. It ultimately wins out. And so we saw some, great performances this weekend out of a lot of teams, or I guess we could say that about a lot of teams for the last 3 online tournaments so far. Right now, though, of course, we would love to get into the game. We're not just vamping and talking because we love to hear ourselves speak. While we do we're still waiting to get the lobby started right now, and it looks like we are loading up. And so it's going to be game number 1 of World's Edge as we head into it soon. So let's talk about team compositions. What are we seeing out of the teams so far? What did you notice out of this weekend's tournament?
Yeah, so I think that everything kind of went back to standard. We didn't see many Revenant cryptos. We didn't see anything too crazy. Everybody kind of playing what they're comfortable with. I did notice though, I think it was TSM. I'm like 99% sure that it was Albrelli on what Gibraltar to start. I'm trying to think if it was Kings Canyon, and then he switched over for World's Edge, or it could have been vice versa. I'm pretty sure that's the way it was. I want to see him stick on one character. I think that you can switch based on the map and things like that, but everybody should play with their best at, right? Like Reptar is playing freaking Bloodhound for crying out loud, and it works for complexity. So, some teams have a philosophy of everybody has to play like these type of characters, and this is what our comp should be. But all the really good players are just going to play with their best at, and that's what you should.
Yeah, I kind of miss the days of the intercontinental ballistic missile that was Albert Lately, right? Hal would call, I got one cracked, and he would just go ahead and full yeet himself on in, and you know how strong Alb can fight once he's in the close range, even in the mid range. But once he's up close and personal, that's when you know that TSM are looking to take this fight, and they 99 times out of 10 they more than likely will. As here we go, heading into game number one, as we can see back on World's Edge as we're on board with helping team playing with Naughty and Macaroni Tony. That's Bronzy, if I remember correctly, right?
Definitely bronzy, but he had a poll up for like a couple different team names or player names, excuse me. And I can't remember exactly what they were, but they were absolutely hilarious. He's definitely trolling right now.
All right, and it looks like it is going to be a drill site. There is a team pathing past them, and so there's an opportunity for an early fight if they so want to take it. And they've also gotten the beacon to work with. It's kind of surprising. I don't know if anyone's challenging over at train station or if they're just being super safe over here by drill.
It's just one of those instances where it's the finals. Nobody really knows where anyone's going to land quite yet, except for the teams that are super well respected. But you have a super early fight right here. RCO looks like they have the upper advantage.
Yeah, and we typically see that over here at Skyhook. Skyhook and Lava City seem to be one of the most contested in the early spots. But here we go. There's going to be the res from the Gibraltar, but as he backs away, he's going to be able to go up top and now drops down once again. Where is the rest of his team? He's doing so much work right now. It's hard to tell because we don't have, of course, the player names, and it's difficult to tell exactly what's going on. But
His
hey,
teammates are
he's
dead.
still playing with them. Yeah.
Both of his teammates are dead, I believe. I think this
Oh,
is
yeah.
just a straight up one. Yeah, he just is 1v3ing these guys by himself. This is insane.
Stops. There we go. Taking out huge gorilla. And now in this 1v1 as he pushes up, trying to get that armor swap, but oh no, there we go. We'll be able to finish off Sneaky Monkey, gets the blue armor swap, now goes back to the to the elevator shaft. We'll be able to secure one more KP there as he picks up the banner. And now this is going to slow him down. I wonder if there's a third team. We typically see that there are a lot of teams that challenge over here. He's got him low, but they're
What is he
both
doing?
basically one shot. Has to back off with the reload. We'll go ahead and pop that cell for now. You have to remember that there were armor swaps, and so that Wraith definitely won't have something to work with here as he backs away. And almost got caught on that res. He does have to be careful here, but things slowing down just a little bit. Face off on the stairwell here as he's going to go ahead and bleed out, get the armor swap. And
Oh
now
my
with the
gosh.
peak, oh, he gets challenged. And now he's dropped down to about 15 HP. He'll get finished off. That's
No.
going to be Shitty PC picking that one up.
I don't know. His teammate was like, honestly, if I was him, I'd be like, yo, teammate, be on the opposite side of the door. I'd have been grappling up towards the top. He played that so well, but then like he just like got flustered based on where his teammate was. Like maybe his communication was off. That was the sickest start to a game that you could ever have in terms of getting a 1v1 and almost just straight montaging the other team. But I wanted to see him pull it out. That's why I'm pissed right now. Honestly, I wanted to see him do it.
We got our CIS representatives as well. Sanya, unfortunately, has DC'd, and this is what we're talking about. Lava City, a lot of early contention as it looks like Ronnie will go down, and DSB does have to back off here. Left in 1v3, even though he's got that purple. He's just got the wingman and the charge rifle. Going to go ahead and play for possibly banners. We still have about 20 seconds before the ring closes, so plenty of time to work with. It was 303 that's challenging them down here.
That's so unfortunate that you go to a spot that's contested and then your teammate lags out of the game. But 303 is going to take advantage of that every day of the week. And it's smart to just back off, go play the banner. They may not know that it's a 1v3 right now. They probably assume that it's a 2v3 because why would they? They probably didn't see the trails either, so they're playing it super safe and they're just gonna back off. But typically, what happens here is the team that is on the other side gets this high ground, and you don't want to cross this open area where he's pinging, right? So they're trying to decide how they want to cross this without taking damage, but they don't realize that this guy's already bounced and just grappled out and is playing tags. So here's TSM, and you love to see it. Albrelli has the Evo shield, is on Pathfinder.
Along with the gold armor for Hal as they're trying to take position over here at Dome, getting the knock on to Swag King. Oh boy, we're seeing some teams kind of fall out of favor with specific weapons. R99 not as popular, still very useful. The wingman a little bit out of favor, but you can't overstate the amount of value you can get off of it, right? You don't have to carry as much ammo. You get so much damage per shot. Now on board with Rogue, who are making their rotation themselves, and it looks like they want to go ahead and control maybe the card over here. No, they're going to go ahead and push for this fight over here at Donut.
Yeah, it looks like they want to take Donut, or at least check to see if Donut's taken. And yeah, it's just an easy third party for these guys. They're going to come up and just try to hold this spot, because we were just talking about this as the game was loading, that the sorting factory circles are actually fairly popular. So they're predicting that, and they're setting up the blue truck as one of the best spots, because if it rotates over towards the choke, and now you can see what's going on in terms of where all the best teams are right now. TSM not too far from where Rogue was on that blue truck, maybe 300 meters, but TSM wants to go and take this fight on the guy that they knocked towards the back. So Wingman, Eva 8, really strong combo, and Hal is just beaming people with the Wingman right now.
We also understand, of course, just the rotation path and timing coming out from TSM. They're able to get down here really quickly because very few teams loot as quickly as they do and rotate as quickly as they do. So if they're down here, they're more than likely going to be in an isolated fight, right? They heard the fights going on over at Lava City, and they understand that more than likely Dome is going to be fairly scarce in terms of number of players. Here's the 303, though, making the rotation in. Now, remember, we saw them earlier on taking that fight over at Lava City. But as Albert Lilly finds one more, we're down to 17 squads, 50 players remaining. And this is kind of what we're used to, like you said, here in the weeklies. Teams just kind of pushing their limits early on, seeing their ability to team fight.
Yeah, and this is one of the best circles, in my opinion. This is a fairly fair circle, but imagine if you were one of the teams on the outskirts, as you could see, like over in Train Yard, Fragment, Geyser. The teams that fought and had the 50-50s to start are so far out on this that they're just going to have to continue to find the outside. So you have to hope that you're going to win these fights. And 303 is one of these teams that they did start off with the 50-50. It took a little bit longer. Fortunately, they have Gibraltar. They can just continue to creep up, but he has to obviously charge this Eva shield, so that's why he was given it. But they don't have any long range snipers, so if he finds a blue shield at any given point in time, he may just end up taking that, honestly.
He does have the R301, which does have some range to it, right? Long damage drop off in terms of the headshot distance for it. But yeah, not having a charge rifle, not having something like a triple tick or even a sentinel makes it very difficult here. And they do have a team that's actually on the other side of this, and the zone is going to be able to is going to close in on them, and so they have the opportunity to try and play this pressure as they change up the angle here. Going to go up north just a bit as Fury gets cracked. Has to be careful.
Yeah, I'd be curious who they were fighting as we take a look at those teams that were on the outskirts. This is going to be a throw together team of Shiv, Bowser, and Tech. So shout out to these guys for putting this team together. And you have, it looks like Bloodhound being played by Shiv. So interesting combo here as they want to run in with the Crypto drone and the Wraith portal and then hit the scan on the way. So pretty scary team to fight. As you know, like they don't have a Watson or Caustic, so they're just going to continue to play the edge. Not a big deal. Having gold armor is great for healing. You can even see sometimes players pass their gold armor to one another so they can all heal up and stay in this zone a little bit longer, because resources are extremely important if you're going to be holding the edge. You're going to be taking a lot of fights. You have to make sure that you have a lot of ammo, and you have to make sure that you have a lot of resources in terms of healing.
Yeah, Tech's got 2 stacks of syringes right now, so he's absolutely perfect. Surprised that he's never mind, he's also got 4 medkits. So yeah, their med situation definitely looking great. As we are on board with Crummy, Pickett, and Rakanishu playing over on the northwest side of the next zone. as they might have a team pinned down or have spotted a team rotating through. But as we swap back on over to TSM, Alberlele getting the upgrade on that Evo shield, but he gets cracked for his efforts there. But now he will have the purple to work with. So 200 HP now, not far off from getting that red. As TSM reading the zones correctly, take a look at how much of it is going to be ending. And more than likely, whenever we do see this one, even though to some indications it might go over to the tree, more often than not, we're used to seeing this circle going over to that connector area.
Yeah, it's the choke, and all these teams know it. So TSM's just looking for damage for Albruli. They got it. He has so much ammo, as you're saying. Don't really need to carry that much compared to a Prowler, which you see Fury have. And he had a Skull Piercer on that too, so he's just going to be able to continue to upgrade that. They're going to be a scary team going to the late game. Rogue's going to be a scary team on the late game. 303's story is interesting, though, because they have to work their way in. And the only thing that's going to save them right now is the Gibraltar, but they have to get this Evo shield charged up because I think they were fighting TSM earlier. And if TSM sees that you have a white armor or if they crack it, they're just going to absolutely charge you because you're going to end up having to heal for more time that's going to take for them to get to where you're at. So 303 has to be careful and extremely methodical. They're in between a lot of good teams right now.
Yeah, it's really important for TSM to control the south side of the choke, right? Because of how the ring has pulled down so heavily to the south that the natural kind of funnel is, of course, to the north. That's where the majority of the teams are. So if they can try to keep the numbers down low on the south, they'll have an easier chance. But as we join Impulsive Dream, Z Davis, and Borton, they've already gotten the knock onto Leto Flow, and now they're chasing after the Gibraltar ultimate to try and slow them down. But Z Davis is setting up the crossfire as the bubble is there, so you got to imagine they're going to be able to get the res. No, that's Impulsive Dream that was actually pushing forward with that bubble, and Z Davis does get cracked, but they've got the number advantage as Ultra Drygo will go down, and that's going to be 3KP. But here's the third party coming out, and it's Tech and Shiv and company, as that is going to signal the retreat for them. Impulsive Dream dropped down to about 2 HP, and it's just Born here on the Caustic. He's playing around his gas, but now he's dropped down to about 45 HP. No armor swaps near him, and he will get finished off.
That was a fairly predictable third party. We knew how many teams were coming out towards the back. They had to take that fight, though, really, especially because the knock came down. But what are you going to do once the Gibraltar sends off the flare in the air and says, hey, we're over here fighting? Once you see all the resources being used, the bubble, the all those things, it's just a giant flare in the air for all these other teams, like little sharks in the water, just going around looking to pick people off. So we know how much resources Tech and his team had before. Now they've just basically tripled their resources and are coming in one of the most looted teams of the game.
Having 1-2 team fights out now, as it's Complexity who are making the rotation, trying to get up, possibly to take the platform up top now. Like we said, a lot of teams in this area currently. We just saw, of course, to the north, that was Shiv's team, and so currently they've got to be careful. Premier, if they try to go in on this, if they don't get a decent poke and end up the fight, of course, the third party is just laying in wait.
Yeah, we didn't even see them use the drone or the EMP right there, and they just come in and clean up these fights fairly easily. So whatever team that they sense is going to be fairly weak, they're probably scouting right now with the drone looking around. As Complexity, they're just trying to wiggle their way in because they know how brutal it is to get to this choke. So they're going to try to find a spot that they can get to or a fight that they can take that's secluded, and they're just going to take that spot. But it looks like they're rotating on over towards Rogue, where Rogue was at, as you look at a fight happening over towards the back of the dome side here with Pickett, Crummy, and Rakanishu.
Yeah, so they are playing towards the western edge right now, and this is one of those squads that we know love to fight. They've been changing it up. They've been learning his course, playing a little bit safer and playing that Watson, no longer the Mirage, unfortunately. But it's going to be the 3v2 here, as we saw that early knock coming in, and this is going to be one of those isolated fights. Not too many teams rotating through here just because of the nature of the ring right now. If they don't finish this off fast enough, though, there we go. They will be able to get it, and like we said, so much early fighting. It's now the third round, and there's only 13 squads remaining with 35 players left.
Yeah, we saw also the rotation that happened with Rogue and Complexity, how they were going to meet up over towards the blue van, and Rogue actually just took down Shiny and got a kill right there. As we take a look at Sentinels now, as we're talking about how brutal this zone is going to be, now teams really starting to rotate, everyone realizing it's a choke if they weren't playing Pathfinder, and Sentinels caught right in the middle of that as they were in the best spot.
Yeah, that's TSM picking them up too. So two powerhouses fighting it out early on, but TSM getting the win here as now RCL is going to push forward. It's going to be Lane and Girth dropping down as there we go. The bubble fights Took a little bit longer than they would want, but they should be able to get up safely. Again, though, they have to be careful. So many teams up here in the north hand side, as we have currently TSM doing such a good job of controlling the south here. And take a look at the ring pull. Rogue are going to have a difficult time now. It's going to be about playing for the kill points at this point because TSM are just holding, of course, as that garrison on the south side.
TSM played this perfectly. They knew exactly where this one was going to pull. It's not easy to predict where that one was going to shift to. A lot of people thought it was going to be exactly in the choke. They thought it was going to be a little further back, and now everybody has to walk towards them. Turns is down here, ends up getting thirsted. So tough spot here is you got to play the edge with only 2 people. We have a full stack of 3 right in front of you. The only chance that you have is if Rogue goes and gets out of that spot and realizes that they need to go and advance, kind of where the TSM's at.
He get hit by Nando. Does have to be careful here on board with Naughty and helping, as looks like they'll be able to recover Bronzy, but this is going to be such a difficult position. But we were talking about, of course, Rogue. They're holding that caravan. They're holding the truck now with the ring pulling away from them with so many teams that are going to be funneling into that choke point. They need to be able to control it. They need to pick up as much KP as possible. It's so difficult to play for positioning and placements at this point.
Look at this play coming in from helping. He's trying to get to something that he can cover towards and maybe hit a battery, but it looks like he only has cells. So he immediately just has to back off here, and they have to reset inside the building. Gen goes down. That's what really good players try to do, but helping ends up just taking too much damage right there. That's going to be, I believe, Rakanishu with the R301. So just straight domination coming in from Pickett and his squad as they're just trying to clear out the top of this area. They are able to do so, and it looks like all 3 wiped as Naughty falls off at the end. But we saw Jamerson, he was trying to get to those blue bins without being seen, but he took a shot trying to hit a hero play out on top of, I think it was probably Crummy. So a little bit of a misplay there from helping cost his whole team.
And so now they've got some time to work with. The zone will be closing shortly here. But this is what I wanted to see. How do Rogue control the north here? We're down to 6 squads, and so it might not be as difficult, but Snipe Down gets caught by Shiv. And they have to back away from this now as Drop is even going to go ahead and commit his Q and get out of there. And how many kills is that for Shiv's team now? They've got to be close to double digits at this point, as TSM once again controlling the south side. And this is what we were talking about. They did such a good job of weeding down all the opponents to the south because they knew that a lot of the fights were going to be taking place to the north, so they had the luxury to be able to do that here. As Shiv, Bowser, and Tech are the teams that now have the positioning here on the north side of the choke, and TSM aren't in position to really do anything about it because they have to deal with the team behind them.
Yeah, and I know what Snipe Down's thinking is you 2 teams are going to be stuck in this position right now where they were trying to just rotate ahead of these guys and gatekeep them, but now everybody's just going to, drift into this one little choke spot and just have this insane fight right here, what we're seeing. So Snipe Down's probably pretty upset that these guys are just trying to 50-50 this, and sometimes that's what you got to do. They've been playing edge the entire time, like you said, probably in double digits, but 3 really good teams all stuck in this brutal circle.
We're down to 1v1 here. The gold armor can be used. He can pop those cells, but instead he's going to go ahead and take that battle, drop down to about 30 HP, but he pulls out the shotgun. The Mastiff will do the job. Bowser now left to his lonesome up against TSM. This is going to be a difficult one here. But as you can see now, as this should be the final one, he's got 45 players watching him. So, clutch or kick. Let's go, Bowser.
Yeah, there you go. You pick up the R9, get the gold barrel. Already taken down. Lost 125 HP instantly. But I want to see him duke it out here. A lot of people try to drop their armor and try to get away with one and try to throw up the peace sign after everyone's been killing each other all game. And it looks like he's doing armor swaps. Okay, so Bowser's going to give this one a shot. I like the style.
Yeah, but I don't know how aggressive TSM really want to get in on this. They understand, of course. They picked up a lot of kills themselves, by the way, just by playing basically early position. We don't get to see that often. It seems like a lot of the times when they do play for center zone that they don't get enough fights coming their way, but this game was completely different. This is going to be a huge one for TSM, so for all intents and purposes, they should be picking up 12 placement points, along with, I want to say, about 8, maybe 9 KP here. As Bowser, again, still left in this 1v3. He's going to pop that mid, but every single time he pokes out, he's going to get poked. And He does have the Q, but his armor's going to get cracked very shortly here, and TSM are about to take the win, and there it is. Team 04 is a champion, but I believe, yeah, that's going to be TSM. That's the Watermelon Pathfinder skin.
Yeah, we all know that's TSM. They played that so smart, setting up in the perfect spot, just clearing out their back when they needed to. And that's how you can see just how masterful they are in terms of the way that they want to position themselves and how far ahead they are in being able to basically I would assume their comms were almost fighting with each other where are you sure it's this circle? Are you sure it's this circle? Is it going to pull this hard? And they have that type of confidence in each other. Whoever made that call, great job by TSM.
Yeah, typically we don't see that ring pull that hard over to the west side of Dome. Like you said, right? It's more over to the choke, and we've seen that more often in the past. But it's while we know what the general zones are going to look like, it's that final circle that really does test teams and their ability to really try and adjust to what the ring can do. But great job by TSM again, taking these early fights, having really that early control. We can't understate how good this team is about their is with their rotation timing and the rotation pathing. They're almost second to none.
And just bullying all the teams around them, right? So you never really saw them in a dire situation, which we saw every other team just desperating all over the place, right? You look at their screen and it looks like they're in like worst case scenario. Like we hop on one guy, he just lost a teammate. It's like real war, right? It's like you look over here, this guy gets his leg blown off, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Like you're just screwed. There's so many people around you. Well, like
Yeah.
you have to just hope that something good happens. And a lot of times it doesn't, so you just try to, like, get whatever you can on the way.
It's difficult, right? When you've got someone like when you've got a team like Rogue that's already set up basically in a pillbox with machine guns ready and firing at the advancing forces, and so that stopped a lot of the rotations of teams coming in from the north, right? So TSM definitely had a nice kind of isolated sanctuary to the south by the grace of Rogue at that point. But we also saw that Rogue they were actually doing a really good job of how they were kind of holding that pattern because we see a lot of teams kind of give up a lot of the zone around them, but they were also doing a good job, I think, during the mid game of not just controlling the truck, but also some parts of sorting factory. So they weren't just kind of sitting there; they were making sure that they were staying dynamic with their movements, dynamic with their positioning. Ultimately, though, taking that fight up against Shiv, it looked like Snipedown just got caught out looting, and of course, as the Watson, you don't have that mobility.
As the controller player, you don't have that mobility,
Yeah,
but
that too.
I know he's probably just upset that these guys are all playing the edge with, like, what, 15 seconds to go, and they have to go so far, there's gonna be so much resistance on the way that it's gonna end up like a situation where it's like one of us survives, like, literally one person, Bowser, and it's like you wanna have all 3 of those guys going into the circle, you wanna play with your team and your teammates, but there's just nothing you can do when everyone has to just filter into this small spot, run like a relay race and just try to get to this little zone where all 3 of TSM's already perfectly set up in every single little position. And you see TSM doesn't mess around. They slow played it. They don't know if some guy's just baiting by himself. And they methodically just waited for the zone to close before Bowser had to charge towards them again.
And we're seeing a lot of teams being tested in the early game as well. It was really unfortunate, of course, that we saw the disconnect coming out from I believe that was Sanya's team. But we'll see if they want to continue fighting over Lava City, which typically in these weeklies, it's going to be about that ego. You're going to go ahead and take that every single game. We've got four, and we're going to see four early game fights. We also saw the fights over at Skyhook as well. So I imagine going into game number two, it's going to be the exact same case. So we got to keep an eye out for that.
I wouldn't doubt it. And here's the thing is that they had the better spot too if they didn't lag out. You want to land on that high ground spot because you do have to charge. These guys have the high ground, right? So you have to go through this little, I don't know what to say, open field area, but it's like burning lava, I guess, but it's not really lava. It's just like cracks in the ground. So you have to go through this like 50-meter area, which is just a death zone, or you have to just take a hard right and start heading towards Geyser's side. And either one, you're in the open for quite some time. So you have an advantage when you land on that side. You're going to get better loot for the most part, and you have the superior angles. So you want to take that fight, but you don't want it to last long because Dome could easily come back around. You never know if Sentinels individuals even wants to charge, or if they start heading over there because the zone looks like it's going back there, or just they hear shots. So whoever's sorting in dome could be looking to get in on this like instantly. We saw in the ALGS that happened, and it was, I believe, aim assist coming in and cleaning up a super early early fight over at the Mirage side. So that's something you got to continue to have in the back of the mind if you want to fight.
All right. And so we also, of course, other teams to look out for. We were talking about complexity as well. And I was kind of surprised when we saw them, of course, up in that north zone or north side of the ring, I believe, by zone three, where Tech and Shiv and them were, of course, taking that fight. That they highly prioritized, of course, making the rotation, trying to get through, because we understood that who was standing ahead of them, right? There was at least Rogue that were playing over by the truck, over by the choke, but then they ultimately went down to a team that were playing the platform. And are you surprised that they didn't take that fight, or do you think it was the right move to go for the rotation instead?
I think that they didn't realize how many teams they're kind of caught in between, right? It's like you want to go for the win. How do you get the win? You have to get to the zone. So you have one person that probably is in one boat saying like, "Hey, we're not going to make it. We might as well just clear out everybody in our back and then minimize the amount of people that are going to get in on this ending fight, and then we go and try to make our move." Or you just go and try to book it and do what they did, which was try to advance over towards the zone and hope that it's a lesser skilled team that's holding down the truck, but it's going to be Rogue instead. So you're done in that part because the fact that you have advanced and now people can advance behind you, and you don't know what's behind you, and then you're dealing with scouts as you have to run into the open. So it doesn't matter who you are, you're definitely going to take a lot of damage right there. And they lost Shiny really early, and there's no reason that you know they couldn't have won that game, but they just were in the wrong spot. It's a brutal circle, and the teams that got to that rotation early are going to hold people out. And that's what you saw Rogue do. That's what you saw TSM do.
Yeah, we do have the leaderboard after game number one. So let's go ahead and take a look at it and see exactly what our standings are like. TSM only picking up 10 kill points there at the end of the day with the 12 placement points that puts them at, well, tied for first, but the tiebreaker is, of course, the highest placements, which is that first place that they got. So that's why they're sitting there. But they are challenged now by the out of bounds bandits.
These team
So
names, man.
22
So
points.
out of bounds bandits is the perfect team name for these
Yeah.
guys. And I hope that number three is 12 inches, that means that they stick 12 inches apart when they run together. Is that what that means?
Right now it should be 60 inches. That's kind of that's 5 feet. Although people would generally say 6 feet is how far you should be social distancing. But maybe they just have reckless abandon here. But Rogue as well. They had a great position, right? We were talking about it. That rotation over from Mirage really not much to trouble them, right? They only team that could have really ran into was maybe Sentinels, maybe the Tree team, and then getting that position there. They ended up getting 12 points. And 303 Esports, who we saw take that early fight, they got the 3 KP, or yeah, I believe 3 KP early on. I don't know if they actually ended up finishing the third person, but they are sitting in fifth with 6 points.
I'm still loving Out of Bound Bandits staying true to their name right now. And 22 points is a decent amount for not winning the game. So them and TSM very close in the kill points. It's going to be interesting to see which style pays off, because this is exactly what we're talking about with getting the early kill points or sticking into the zone and just getting that placement points plus the kill points. But I love the way that TSM played that. They were able to find fights in priority areas, and sometimes you got to just bully people out of their spot, and that's exactly what they did. So they just charged, took over, and you love to see it from them. I want to see them try to keep it up.
Yeah, and that's why we're talking about how important those early game kill points are, right? And that's what out of bound bandits were able to do. As again, they were doing such a fantastic job of fighting those edge fights, while TSM did a great job of controlling the South. And so when you look at the placements, you got first versus second, which is a 3 point difference, and that's 3 KP that they were able to pick up that out of bandits were. But it's TSM, of course, dropping they're tried and true over here at Frag East, as they're going to be gifted with this zone. It looks more like it's going to pull over to Fragment West. So we're thinking market, we're thinking broken building bridge, or even that respawn beacon straight smack dab in the center.
So this is exactly what we want to see coming out from TSM, and wondering how they have changed their play style in advance. They have been testing out which buildings to hold when they see this zone for quite some time. But the problem is we're this is that exact thing we were talking about before this game starts. I believe that train is eluded too. So if they can get that loot, that's going to be huge for them. They're going to get a gold helmet here, and then possibly
Ooh.
some really good armors off of this train. So I'm not sure if it was hit. If it isn't, they would be heading over there immediately. But uh, I'm curious what building they're going to hold because it's hard to get kill points as we're looking at kill points going down right now. The team that decided that they were going to land over at lava decides that they want to go towards dome, I believe is what's happening. Or
Where
tree.
did Double Zero came from?
Tree.
I mean, it looked like he had the stim. He just came at him so quickly there. And so now we're down to a 3v2. Stomp, though, is dropped down to 20 HP as he gets knocked. It's all up to Yo-Yo as he does have them pushing on top. The melee comes out, takes a boot to the face as he does get the knock, but he has to back away. He's going to be able to pick up some cells, but no, never mind. He's got no healing now. I don't know if he saw it or not, or if he just had to back away so quickly or hits him with a triple take, but now he's dropped down to 1 HP as he's trying his best to play ring around the Morosi, but there's the crossfire set up. Double Zero, Gimu, Neen, and Zachary will be able to get the 3 KP there.
Great crossfire from these guys, making sure they don't throw away this opportunity to get the early kill points. They get the res off as well, which is huge because now you don't have to go and hit that respawn. Even though it's right next to you, it just goes to show that, hey, someone died back here. It leaves yourself liable to get charged from any other team that may have heard those shots. And they have to watch out for possible sorting factory rotating now because of the fact that they have to heal up and then go continue to hit the rest of their loot path. But here goes what's going on Skyhook's side. It looks like Lido is going to be dealing with a couple other teams that drop over here. Typically, Jamerson, you have at least 3 teams in Skyhook.
Yeah, the loot here can be good, especially if you take the pathing and have control over by trials right now. But it doesn't look like there's anyone. There we go. We got some pings out, and they might be looking to take the fight. They do have the Bloodhound to work with. They're going to have that scan and 2 purple armors. This is a really good team fight for them.
Yeah,
Right
we'll see
now,
if the Bloodhound's going to pay off for them. They have to use the scan at the right time, and they need to make sure that they don't waste the scan. So you can see right there exactly what we're talking about. The scan gets wasted, and now all of their resources are gone. They literally are only using that for the team fight. So they have to slow it down now 20 seconds and just see what happens. But everyone's starting to rotate now. A lot of teams still playing the edge. We've seen the team name of Out of Bound Bandits. I'm curious to see how out of bounds they're going to play this game, but you have to get into fragment, you have to get there early, or you have to hold a choke.
yeah. And we were talking, of course, about the positioning for TSM, right? Where do they want to try and play this? This is one of those circles where it can be difficult for them to find kill points just because of the number and concentration of buildings here in Frag East and Frag West. Teams end up being able to get in rotations for free, take up a building, and TSM are just sitting there in the center trying their best to poke. We do see the Watson traps being set up as well over by the broken building by the bridge. That might be TSM. Typically, you know, that's where we'll see teams like TSM, teams like Rogue. That is one of the favorite spots in this ring.
Ultimate accelerant here.
Yeah, and it's because of the fact that you can get kill points at it, and it's
Shield here.
right where the zone's going to be ending for the most part. And in terms of where it's going to pull, we see that under area, that spot is going to be such a hard spot to get in, connecting fragment east to fragment west. So whoever's holding more close to that side is going to be able to get in on all of these kill points as people are going to go and try to rotate towards. So tons of people over towards the train tracks. We have 3 different teams within one another.
Yeah, we should be swapping over to Rogue right now, who are in the fight. They should be in a 2v1. There was a knock. They got traded away as Frapper finds one as well. And so we don't get to see that fight. We do see on the kill feed as well. Complexity picking up 3s. Reptars will get rezzed. And they're controlling this choke. I like this play coming out from them, right? They understand the kind of rotation pathing that's going to come out from the teams from Skyhook. And so controlling this side of the circle, that's where they're able to pick up the KP from. Rogue do end up, it looks like, taking their team fight win. It's, of course, going to slow down the rotation, though.
Yeah, and then you see Sentinels. I believe that they are still landing Sorting Factory. They're going to go prey on the team that was Tree because keep in mind, they know a team fight went down back there. So they're just going to work their way over towards the zone now. And so many teams stacked on top of one another. You can see everybody has a building over towards the Fragment East side. You still have a couple of spots over towards Fragment West that you can lock down. But all of this choke over here towards the train yard harvester area and people rotating over towards drill site, that's where all the rest of the action is going to happen. You don't see anybody on that right side of the map right now. All those teams have already claimed their building instead of Fragment.
Yeah, Fragment, you're 100% just playing for placements at this point, but it's complexity They understand that game number one didn't exactly go their way, didn't pick up as many kill points as possible, and that's why they're playing this choke right now. Is oh, never mind. They've got a DC in Monsoon. They're gonna try and get him in this. This is teamwork, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you love to see the teamwork coming in from Complexity. That's some of the best teamwork we've seen all day. But but that's super unfortunate. I wonder if he's going to be able to get back into the lobby. Possibly not, but you can see the broken building being held, more fights happening over towards Skyhook. And this is the teams that are on the furthest of the edge right now. So most likely not going to get third party. You should be able to take this confidently, but you don't want to have to deal with this team rotating later. So they're just going to go and take this fight. Whoever wins this should be able to own this side of the map.
Yeah, and this wasn't the squad that was over at Trials, by the way. I think the team that they're fighting over here it is. So Bowser's got that gold armor. He was able to pick it up from Trials now, as we do have the Wraith portal coming out, or it might have just been the Q here. It is the port, as they've got position to go in on it. If they've got the EMP, it looks like Tech wants to set it up. Never mind. He goes ahead and throws out a nade instead as the zone coming in, and he's lobbing in the artillery. Does he get a connect on that one? Oh, I thought that one was going to be so good. It was close here, as now they're trying to rotate over to the left, but this crossfire is being set up so expertly right now. Luckily, though, for them, this is just zone one, right? And so they're not taking too much damage. They can take this roundabout way, but not anymore, as the knocks are coming in, and that's going to be 3 kill points coming in for the out-of-bound bandits.
You want to try to take the out of bounds bandits outside of the zone? Are you kidding me? It's just not going to happen. Bowser's going to skedaddle. We were talking about the likeliness of a third party and how it was fairly low, but that fight took quite some time. So we'll see. As you said, Jamerson, just zone one, so not that big of a deal. As you take a look at what's going on the train station side on the left side, this is where they're going to have to eventually make their way, as we got another fight going on between Pickett, Rakanishu, and Crummy.
This is interesting because I think this might have been a third party, as I believe I saw a knock onto one of the Sentinel members as well, and that is not what you want to see if you're Crummy, a Gibraltar barreling forward with gold armor. Now it's all up to Peach, and that's who it was. And so now he does have, of course, the bubble to work with. The massive shot doesn't connect, and he will go down.
Nice try right there. Just third party on top of third party happening over towards the train station side. We saw the mini map beforehand. All the other teams are stuck inside a fragment. So whoever wins this outside fight is going to have tons of loot, which these guys do. And then you still have to deal with the outside bandits coming in, or the out of bounds bandits coming in eventually too. So here's our first fight actually going on in one of the buildings in fragment.
Yeah, but he will be able to just go ahead and back off turns. Will, remember, former Pittsburgh Knights. As he just backs away, and typically it's just a lot of kind of poking and prodding by teams here, but this is one of the buildings that I do like. In the event that this ring does actually just pull over to the east hard and pulls over to Park, this can be one of those really strong positions. You can of course play the high ground on the train tracks if you want to. Excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
All right. And so yeah, this is what we're used to seeing, right? A lot of poking and prodding, and so neither team really hard committing here, as you do have to be careful. There's still so many teams in Fragment East.
Yeah, you have to be careful also because there's a charge rifle coming right into your back. So he's gonna try to set up a little zip play to try to get over to towards the roof, but sometimes doesn't cooperate or go where you want it to go. But love to see turns back, as you said. Former Pittsburgh Knight, also played Valorant for quite some time. Curious to see if he's going to continue to try to get into some more Apex, because he was one of the most skilled players. Forgot who his team was exactly, but I know that he was teaming with Knock for quite some time, and we've seen him do some damage. Also was my teammate in Twitch Rivals in San Diego. So know what turns can do. Definitely very skilled and not afraid to get aggressive. Very interesting to see him be the first person to go and get aggression on towards one of the other fragment buildings.
And in this general area, I believe, is where Complexity ended up leaving Monsoon. So this might be a free kill point for Premier, Sumo, and Info. We'll see if they spot him out, or how good of a spot that they were able to kind of knock him into. It's really unfortunate, and I wish
Probably just his
there was
box
something
now.
we could do. Yeah? You think so?
Probably. I think it may have been 5 minutes. I don't know. It's hard to tell when you're casting. These games are so intense, you don't really know how long exactly it was. But
No, he's
there's
still
Monsoon. Yeah, it looks like he's read it out. So maybe he did lag out. I'm not sure what that exactly means, but it doesn't matter because you're still going to have Complexity play aggressive, but they're just not going to take something that is so straightforward like that. He was just getting information, and they'll take a third party if it comes towards them, but they're notorious for holding this hill over towards the epicenter side and just waiting for all the action to go on over towards fragment side because we saw turns can get aggressive on a building. Imagine what happens if two teams start fighting over here. You could easily just come in and especially with the scan, see exactly who you want to go and focus. So possible kill points coming over here for complexity. I hope they're able to do it since Monsoon lagged out.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate because one of the strengths about, of course, having this hill is you just set up the Wraith portal from here. And so you don't have to hard commit into the fight. This time around, though, it looks like Sanya not DC'd. And so they will have the full three as they're holding over to the north side. And it looks like, for all intents and purposes, this is going to be the market circle, which we call as soon as we saw the first ring.
Yeah, so Market Circle is pretty fantastic for this rotation, and you have a great utilization of your team with the Watson. So this is exactly what you want to see if you're Zanya. You want to be able to just hold this building, save your resources, which they're doing. They're just going to continue to gen up, and they're just going to armor check outside of the windows. You're looking for crazy desperation plays, maybe teams that haven't got in trying to get a building, or maybe someone does something absolutely crazy and you're trying to capitalize on it. For the most part, though, you're just going to armor check, and then just wait for something to happen.
And we saw Lane, Girth, and Big Bean Brand making this rotation early on into the zone. And so that's why we're seeing two white armors on them. They're just really not able to pick anything up at all. Lane getting cracked there, as they do have the Gibraltar bubble to keep him safe for now as he heals up and uses that. But he is so separated from his team. There we go. He will be able to pop into the queue to try and cover this long distance. Has a little bit of cover to work with, but there we go. Just as he makes it around the corner, he does get tagged, and that's Shiv's team on the other side.
Yeah, they're stuck right now. You have a really good team with solid armor right in front of you. You have a team shooting you in the back that's continuing to chase. And now everyone decides that they want to go and split this construction building. You can have three teams hold this, but all hell's going to break loose at any given point in time because that's what happens as teams continue to peak. They get these armor checks, and sometimes you're not paying attention. You're looking somewhere else. Someone pokes out from a spot you weren't expecting, and they just completely beams you as we take a look at the fight happening right now.
Yeah, we up top you see it's Kupski, Frapper, and Protectful that are holding the top hand side. EMP connects onto like 10 people in here as all the roaches get hit. As Bowser pushes forward, that Prowler R9, the double SMG. He gets two knocks with it, and it is going to be two teams. They have to be careful here, though, as Bowser hasn't been able to heal quite yet, but with that port, he will get back to the safety of this rock cover. And I like this reset coming out from them, understanding that there is a third team involved, but Tech wasn't able to make his way on out. He saw the portal going down, and so now it's all up to Shiv and Bowser here left, and I believe it should be a 2v3 up against Protectful squad. As that's really unfortunate timing.
That was so unfortunate. He's like, nice fight, guys. Great EMP. All right, I'm going to go through the portal and loot him. No, you're not, man. There's a whole nother team waiting for you.
All right, finally we're seeing TSM getting involved in some fights as we saw the knock coming out there from Albert Lely, but here it is. It's going to be Shiv in a 1v3 as he gets finished off as back on board with 303. They're challenging buildings here as the ring does finish up closing. So let's go ahead and take a look at where this ring pulls. And ooh, okay, I thought that the park might, be out of bounds for this, or not out of bounds, but I thought it was going to pull away from the park, but now you've got this 50-50. Does it go over to market? Does it go over to the park here? This is going to be interesting, and so this decision, basically here for rotations for teams, is going to decide how this match plays out.
I think this one ends kind of by the bins on the northwest side. We'll see if my memory serves me correctly, but that's why TSM holds that spot. They're in such a good spot. Whatever happens, they're going to be in the zone for the most part. As you take a look at what's going on with Bronzy, Naughty, and Helping, we saw Bronzy get taken out early in the previous game. They're in a pretty good spot right now, in a great spot, as they're just going to try to milk as much of this circle as possible and try to get people rotating in, because now is the death zone. Zone 4 is where you see a lot of these teams fall. Probably at least 20%, 30% of the people are going to die here.
Yeah, I want to take a look at complexity to see if they're actually in on this circle. It's tough to tell, but they might have a slight lip to work with on the high ground. And so we know that, they have that DC really unfortunate lost Mon early on, but they did also pick up early KP as well. And so playing for placements is going to be super important for them at this point. But it's this footsie game that's coming out from Sanya and company, as they're really trying to control a little bit more zone here, as they understand that as the zone closes, we're down to 11 squads, but this is a very compact area.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Sonya is admiring the bamboo trees or just taking a little break right there. Maybe deciding what kind of plan of action they want to go and do or something along those lines. But you're in a great spot here. You don't have to force anything. You just need to make sure that you're watching your back and getting the kills on the people that are rotating over towards you. So take a look at Monkey, Huge Gorilla, and Sheeny PC here. Gotta look out if you're Sneaky Monkey, because this is what we were talking about. As Cubsy gets a knock, Protectful gets one as well. You don't want to get beamed from the side. So when you're the Gibraltar, you always have to be aware of what's on your backside. Always play your surroundings. But there's so many people trying to get in right here. This is going to be tough for a lot of these teams.
TSM was able to get the third party though, and they've got that position to work with, right? And here it is, DSB fighting the knock, but oh, as you push us on in, Yukio will get finished off, and now we're down to 2, and really no opportunity now left for any kind of response to work with, as they are forced to push forward. It's a full 3 as we go for that full yeet with that, but the Gibraltar Dome is still there, and now it's so difficult to see with the zone closing in with the Gibraltar bubble there as well, as it looks like it's just down to Premier. But we were talking about Sonya and company, as they were able to clear it out, as it is going to be a park ring. Take a look at the pull here. TSM doing a good job of controlling the west-hand side, and so this rotation might be free for them, but it's not free for Nando, as it's just him and Turns needs some time bond. They're doing it with the knock shield, but it's TSM unrelenting, getting the knock, and they'll be able to continue to push forward, pick up that kill. Nando goes down. TSM now opening up here in the late game.
TSM looking extremely strong. Their spot was perfect. They know how to play this. They've done it a million times. They just need to execute here. So if they can get a gen down, I'm not sure if Reps has one. He's going to have to hit an ult excel. If not, because now you have Reptar and the scan coming in. Unfortunately, they don't have Monsoon. Otherwise, this would be a super good third party for them. But instead, TSM's going to full heal and then just continue to milk the placement points like you were talking about, Jamerson. They have a couple of kills. So this is all up to TSM to hold the spot. You can see they're one of the only teams, if not the only team, in this next zone. And they have all of this real estate and all of these armor swaps to potentially work with.
If TSM realize that this is a duo, though, all right, they haven't had the opportunity to get that information because they haven't been able to scout finishing off that fight. But if they find out that that's a duo, that's 100% TSM pushing that, because they know that they have full control over this ring right now. There's 3 other squads still left on the other side of basically this level river. And so TSM, they are doing a great job of controlling space here on the south. It doesn't look like they want to try and contest the team to the north, which is Complexity.
Oh, and looking like the 301 is ripping for Hal right now with the 3x. Pretty unorthodox from him. Busts out the Mastiff as well up close. This Gibraltar's absolutely done. He just gets in his face, kind of baits a little bit, and then backs off because he probably has call out from his teammates that they're going to be able to have help on this one. So great teamwork coming in from TSM and nice pressure from Hal. That's exactly how you want to play Wraith. You get in their face, and since the Q has been nerfed since the previous patch, he does have to slow play that just a little bit more than he previously has, but just completely demolishing everybody in this zone, and now 1 squad left.
Yeah, and that's going to be Sonya's team, and Sonya's team was the one that finished off Shiny's team as well, Complexity. And so with that knock, they smell blood in the water.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about. It's going to be Albert Lily going in, but it was the 301 doing so much damage for a Hal, and that's 2 games in a row for TSM.
Hal just demolishing everybody with the 3x right now. He's not going to pick up the R9. He doesn't care in Season 6 if it's in the, drops or not. He's just going to go with the 3x on the R301, taking a page out of a little bit of Rogue's book right there. So nasty job by TSM. And you're right, back to back now. They are no strangers to back to back.
Now, there's only 4 games, so I don't know if they can do the 5 times back to back, but right now the trajectory for the 4 time is looking really good for TSM, as I want to say that might have been another 20-point game for them, as they found some really great, like you said, third-party opportunities, or just the ability to pick up KP from their position. We knew that there was a big fight going on over by construction, and we saw Protectful in them going down to TSM. And so we'll have a tally of what the leaderboard looks like. But for now, as we go ahead and do that, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. And when we get back, it'll be the second half of the Esports Arena North American Weeklies. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
I got the sign, better civilize, you standing there, standing stop. I got the sign, better civilize, you standing there, standing stop. Ooh, that's a 301, home, that's a bullet to the chest, and the yammer falling off, oh god. All the gas making you pop, and the disc when I drop, if your body in a pile, let it rot. Shit just got a lot, what you move, you a bop, what you fade like a thought, slow down, where I bang, what your life, what you train, never get into the train, never jump another game. Yo, 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 yo. I got the sun, there's in light, you're standing there, standing still. I got the sun, there's in light, standing there, standing still. I got the sun, there's in light, you're standing there, standing still. I got the sun, there's in light, standing there, standing still.
Welcome back, guys, and thank you all for being patient with us. We did have a lobby crash as we were trying to set up game number 3, but we're back here, and we've got all the players in right now, and we've had 2 killer games so far coming out from TSM. Tom, how are teams going to catch up to them at this point?
They have to be like the back-to-backs and win back-to-back here because it's not just first places, Jamerson. They put up 12 kills last game, as you pointed out to me during the break right there. So that's going to be 24 points for them, and I think 22 before that. So just absolutely insane start to this tournament here for TSM.
So let's take a look at the lead that TSM now after the back-to-back wins here in games number 1 and games number 2. TSM, like we said, 46 points overall. 24 of those, of course, coming from placements, but 22 from kill points. The 10 KP game for them. And out of bounds bandits who were tied with them. Remember, they were tied 22 points, I believe, after game number 1, now trailing by so much. This is going to be a difficult task to really try and come back from this. 12 inches now sitting in 3rd place with 20 points. Wingman here at 16, and Poxeroni, despite their game number 1 unfortunate circumstances, were able to climb back into this. I believe they got 4th place or 3rd place in the last game there, and so now they're sitting in 5th place, tied with Wingman at 16 points. It was Rogue though that we're looking out for, who got into an early fight and only ended up picking up 13 points over the last 2 games.
But you think about where Rogue has to rotate from compared to where TSM has to rotate from, and that's why they pick Fragment East to land at. And Rogue, while you do land over towards Mirage and you get circles that pull over towards Mirage or Thermal or over even towards Harvester and Drill Site, it's not as easy as it is to rotate like TSM. So TSM playing this perfectly, and they're not getting too far from the zone. These zones have been favorable for them when it comes to getting out of their spot, but that's what I love watching TSM do is they get out of their spot so fast, and they're rotating with about 1 minute 45 seconds left on the clock. They've done it so well. They know what each other likes, and they have their loop paths completely mastered.
Yeah, this is a team that, of course, has played basically in everything, anything and everything, and play so many scrims that they haven't had to change anything up really. And almost nobody contests them anymore. I feel like the last time they really got contested was what, OT3, maybe OT4. That was almost 5-6 months ago. And so yeah, when we're here on World's Edge, they've got their rotations down pat, and especially for a team that has the fastest, I believe, rotation timing, getting out of their initial drop zone in North America. We do have some replays in game number 1, game number 2, as we're still setting up the lobby right now, getting into ways. But TSM, again, they have excellent control. But there's a lot of these early fights that we're also seeing generally here. And I believe this one was from game number 1, as Stomp was left in this 1v2, 1v3. This was TSM, though, in game number 1, where they had full control. We were talking about the rotation timings. Take a look at that. Round 1 closing. There was 3 minutes left. They barely just started closing. They were already all the way to the south, taking these early fights, picking up the early kills.
Yeah, they're so fast and so much fighting happening over towards the edge as teams tried to get in. This was the nice cleanup that happened for Girth and his squad. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't deal with so many teams that were rotating over towards the choke side, but Complexity fell short in this game. Complexity unfortunately had the lag out in the previous game as well. As we take a look at what happened with Bronzy and his squad over towards the top, this is when helping overextended a little bit. And Crummy and his squad did whatever they could, but Bowser was just way too much right here with the Massive as he tries to take on the 1 versus 3 against TSM. Just not going to happen. TSM in perfect position and easily cleaning up that game. But it's been one heck of a show so far, honestly, Jamerson. We've seen so many good teams in this one, but it's been really impressive to see what TSM's been able to do, because when you go and look at these replays, you see everybody's shots on point. Everyone looks good, but it's the teamwork that prevails over anything.
Yeah, teamwork, the experience, is just overall understanding. On board with this was the out of bounds bandits. They were taking these fights on the edge, and they had such a great position. But it was here where things went awry for them, right? Just kind of bit off a little bit more than they could chew, as Tech ended up getting knocked when the team had retreated out of position. It was just the portal going down at the absolute wrong time for him, not able to make it out for them. And it was TSM here at the end of game number 2, closing it all out. 12 KP for them. And so now It's how are other teams going to bounce back. I believe there was what an 18-point discrepancy between TSM and the next one below them, which was the out of bounds Bandits. And yeah, 46 to 28 points, and an even bigger lead against third place here. TSM 46 to 12 inches, 20 points. And so now TSM, how do they close this out? 2 games left to go as we are on board with Complexity. And we were talking about this right at the before we even started game number 1. Complexity garners so much respect. No team is going to drop around him. No team challenging over at
Yeah.
Epi. No team challenging over at Refinery.
No team Refinery, no team Overlook, and now you have people fighting over here in just one of the worst looting spots of the map because of the fact that they just demand so much respect. So we'll see what Bronzy's going to be able to do.
Does have to be careful. He does have the massive. He's going to go ahead and queue out. He doesn't have armor, which is really the ballsy thing about all of this. And he did some decent damage. Naughty wasn't able to recover that banner as it's pretty far away. And oh, man, you don't want that. You want at least the medkit here. Another fight though taking place over at Sorting Factory, and wow, talk about ballsy. Lane and company taking the fight up to Sentinels now, but Lane here left with just the Spitfire as it's a gold armor on the other side, and you just don't have the DPS really to deal with it here. If he had maybe a massive, there was an opportunity, but no, the hipfire shots landing for him, but now he's dropped down to 4 shots left in this 1v1, as there it is. You'll be able to finish him off. Crust will be able to get that, and the res comes out. Will the tree team be able to punish, though? I don't think so. Not too many teams rotate at this time at 1 minute and 54 before the ring starts closing.
No, but it means that their loot is going to be taking a while to grab here. So they're going to shoot the buys and tell these guys, don't come back to our area. And as you can see on the map, nobody charging over there. Still a lot of teams posturing over towards drill site. And even the rotation coming in from train yard. So all those teams completely screwed. And now you have great armors on the Sentinel side. You have time to just continue to loot. But so much action is happening over towards that train side. And even over here towards the tree side, looks like you have a little bit of a skirmish as well.
It was that same fight that we saw in, I believe, the second game here. And this is the difficult thing about taking the fights at Tree. It's just that teams on their rotating path or in their drop paths, they're so spread out. And these buildings can be difficult to push when there's a Watson in play. It's 0-0. He's trying to get the information for his squad, spots them out. It looks like it's a 2v3 in this fight, as they are going to go ahead and make their entry. That's the reason why you want to set the Watson traps a little bit further away from the doors. It's so easy for them to clear. 0-0 getting some decent damage, pushes in, but Stomps will be able to get that knock, but the rest of the team is here, backing away up towards the stairs once again. But oh no, things are going right. This was a 2v3. Now it's down to a 1v1. The syringe is going to get popped by Yo-Yo, and he's got the HP advantage, but a big hit there with the Sentinel hitting the 42, and now, the Hemlock. Now Zachary has an opportunity here, doesn't hit with the Sentinel, now goes for the reload as he backs away. Is the armor swap there? Oh, has to be careful. Almost got caught in that finisher animation as he was trying to go for the armor swap, but it's going to be Yo-Yo now pushing forward. Will be able to finish him off and secures that for his squad. And things are slowing down. Do Sentinels come in here for the third party?
Possibly, but that's why you see these teams take these fights, because they obviously need to work on their team fighting skills in terms of being able to infiltrate a building like that in a 2 versus 3. The superior team definitely wins that fight, and just really unfortunate that the initial bursts and the initial charge right there for, I believe, Zachary didn't work out as planned, but more fighting happening over here on towards the outside, and you can see the third party did come in. It was Crummy and Rakanishu coming in to finish off a couple of players. So that team is now going to be down, and now you're in a pretty sticky situation right now, as you have Huge Gorilla and Sneaky Monkey both down and about to expire here in about 1 minute.
This is going to be difficult. He does have the portal. He does have the Q to work with, but again, it's a full squad. As Shiv and them continue to find kills here. As, it looks like they are the ones that are camping the body. One more KP waiting for them. They're going to have the information. They'll have the Q. They'll have the drone as well to work with. There we go. They spotted them out.
Yeah, you don't want to be going against the drone in this situation as the last guy alive. Maybe if you had the drone and you could go and pick up the banners, one of the great things about Crypto, but this should be an easy cleanup right here for Shiv and the rest of his crew. trading perfect damage right there. It doesn't really matter because one of his teammates will be able to come up here and finish him off. Whether they hit him with the Kobe's or not, this guy's absolutely done. Looks like Bowser is going to pick up the kill contract here and just take him down. So nice job there by Tech and his squad realizing exactly where the rat was. And that's going to be the out of bounds bandits, Jamerson, coming in with some early kill points. Our second place team closest to TSM.
Yeah, so they're closing that gap. Remember, we said there was an 18-point discrepancy between them and TSM, and it was a lot of those early kill points that they were able to pick up in game number 1 that kept them on par heading into game number 2. But unfortunate timings, of course, stuff happening over at Fragment West kind of saw their early exit in game number 2. Now, Sentinels, though, as they do see this ring, it's pulling down. We'll see as they have to continue to fight and control this south-hand side as Senox pushes forward. He's got the massive out, misses that one. There we go, hits for 14. You don't want to see that, but he's got him flesh. There we go, pulls out the R9. Peach is there to back him up, and they will be able to clean up that fight.
Great movement there by all the players involved in that fight, win or lose, but it's going to be Senox and the Sentinels coming in hot. They know how to fight over towards Sorting Factory. This is their spot, and they're predicting which building they want to take over here. Usually they play the top side, and you can see a lot of teams fighting over here towards the top side, but that building where they're at, it ends right on that ramp or underneath the building even sometimes too, so it just depends on which zone they're feeling.
Yeah. There's also seeing Poxaroni here controlling the main building of Sorting Factory up in the north-hand side, as I believe they got a knock just before this. But they need a recovery here as they understand the situation that they're in. A lot of teams in the area, they have to be wary of third parties because that's the nature of this ring. That's the nature of this zone. And so they're doing a great job of controlling the top-hand side, but that's what we see in this ring, right? Teams just kind of sharing this big building. You can easily have 4, 5, 6 teams here, but you've also got the team over by the smokestack to the southeast to worry about.
Love these Sorting Factory circles. There's so much going on here, and there's so much real estate to own, and you get into these fights that are pretty fair, honestly, and the third parties do come, but I love this roof battle, right? You know you're going to have one team on the opposite side. It looks like a portal coming down possibly over towards where they were at, so a team potentially desperating over there, or at least just setting something so they have multiple angles. But you can see 303 is short-handed right now, as they do have another team that's on the roof with them, so they got to be careful. Watson fences are up. Gen potentially can come down, but this team looks like they're getting aggressive.
Yeah, it was that fort to recover Phonyhead's beacon there, but that just means that's the free entry for them as Poxaroni are looking to finish off the squad. Fury now dropped down to about 5 HP, gets that Q off. He drops down to the low ground here. Oi Senpai left by himself up top, and as you can hear all the footsteps, there's another team playing on the opposite end on the first floor as well. So Fury does find a moment of reprieve. We'll be able to get these cells off, and looks like he was able to successfully juke them, but here it is. Rogue are now in the area. Sentinels just to the north of them as well. So all the teams now congregating over here at Sorting Factory.
And this is the spot that I was talking about where Sentinels likes to hold. But if you're not going to hold this, that building where they're at is really nice. The office, what I like to call it, that glass building that's below where Rogue is at, is fairly solid as well. But look at the out-of-bound bandits coming back for blood. What do you know? They're outside the zone.
They're going to push forward now with the Beast of the Hunt as well as Bronzy doesn't like seeing that. His Wraith going down now along with Naughty, and he's left in a 1v2 as Shiv did get taken out by Bronzy, but this is going to be so difficult. They'll have the information to work with it. They want to pull out the drone. They've also just got the numbers advantage now as Bowser pulls out that wingman. It's the shot. There we go. This is going to be able to pull out that R9 to finish it all off. Shiv will get rezzed as well. And it's the first ring. And so with being able to pick up all of these meds, they'll be able to sustain easily. Of course, having the economy to work with that gold armor is so strong for them. TSM holding that building, or holding that area that you were talking about, right? Having the circle along with this ramp. And I love how they're holding this right now, taking up a lot of real estate.
Yeah, this is a lot of real estate because you don't want a team just ratting down here and setting up. It makes any type of rotation that you have fairly difficult. But That's what I love about TSM. Doesn't matter what their armors or their guns are. This is an unorthodox combo that you see from Albrelli, but he's still going to rock it. Still has the white armor. Doesn't matter. He's going to continue to challenge, still add pressure on the map. And if you're a newer player or an experienced player, you can learn a lot from watching Albrelli play, where you don't play scared. You want to add pressure on the map. You want to bully people around. You don't want them to get comfortable and set plans to go and try to take over your spot. You want them to feel your pressure and try to realize that they need to go elsewhere. So that's what Albrelli's doing. He's owning this real estate, as you said, Jamerson, with his teammates, and every single person is adding pressure no matter where they're at.
Take a look at the zips they have as well. And so they have it over to the main sorting factory building. There's one going over to the boxes to their southwest. So it's all about having that mobility, the extra mobility to work with. But that's also a point that they have to worry about. So someone needs to keep an eye on it. And TSM is one of those teams that are, I would say, one of the best about, watching their backs. Very few, very rarely do I see them, of course, just kind of like messing around in the position that they're in. They're always on their toes to keep an eye out for their flanks. And they just have full 360-degree view here playing the circle.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that stinks for them, again, is going to be Albrelli's armor. They're going to try to get a kill here and try to rotate in with the Wraith portal and go get back onto an armor swap for him. They don't even want to use cells here because you can see that he has 8. So this is the only tough thing about TSM's spot that they're in. If they're able to get any more resources, another kill comes their way, they're going to really be in a great spot. Again, you have teams to deal with that are on top of Sorting Factory, things like that, but not that many teams that are coming to try to take your building. So it looks like they're going to go and try to rotate over here, advance further where the zones are going to go, and try to play a different spot.
Yeah, we are down to 10 squads, by the way, here in the third round with 28 players remaining. So that might be just a rat here. As this is the office building that you were talking about, just below, I believe, where Rogue is holding. You got the glass windows to work with. So not a bad position, but it's about where do you move through there. Luckily for them, of course, you've got Snake to work through as Rogue up top, sweet, taking a lot of damage, but he's got the Phoenix Kid. And this is some great armor situations coming out for Rogue as they've got 2 gold armors for themselves. And so now it's about how do they deal with the team below them? You got to imagine they've been doing their scouting. They've been looking around. And do they know that there's a team below them?
I believe they're not even worried about those guys at this point. You have to whenever you're going to have to rotate out and things like that. But I think they're trying to figure out where this zone exactly is going to pull. And that's what I'm trying to figure out too. It's going to be more central. And I think that where this respawn beacon could be a spot for contention. I think that these buildings where TSM rotated are going to be fairly good as well. But teams are going to be able to coexist here for a little bit longer since there's only 10 squads left, right? So it's going to be a little bit slower paced. Typically zone 4, zone 5 is where we're going to see a lot of deaths. And you can see some pings going on over towards that top yellow crane area. That area is a good spot, but no one wants to take that this early because of the amount of scouts that are on the map right now. So if you go to that spot, you're just going to end up losing all your resources. We know the gen for Watson's only 90 seconds now. So a lot of things have changed and teams' playstyles changing based off that.
DSB very close to getting that red Evo shield for himself as well. Now as Poxeroni, let's take a look at where they're on the leaderboard. They are tied for 5th currently with 16 points total. Picked up a few here. So making some headway here and closing that gap with TSM. We have to remember, we did change the format in terms of pricing, as it's only the top 2 that'll be walking away with a share of $1,000. First place getting 700 and second place getting 300 here. And so, a lot of things to consider, as it's not about the safety of making the top 3. It's so much harder now as you have to make the top 2.
Yeah, and everybody's going for the win. So closest right now to TSM, as we said, out of bound bandits. Rogue is over towards the top 8. We have Complexity still in the top 8. So if they could string together a W here and keep TSM off the board, I think that's what a lot of teams are looking for right now. What's going to go on with TSM in the kill feed? Are they going to be taken out, or are they going to continue to add to the lead because they have such a demanding lead right now?
And we are about to find out where the next ring pulls, and straight down, hard pull to the south, and Rogue are so happy to see this one. They've got their long range to work with. They've got the G7 scouts, and so now It's all about controlling the area around them. And also the team to the south kind of gave up that area as well. And so there's no one really challenging them. What we really need to look at are the teams to the northeast. We know that TSM was holding one of the Dorito buildings over there, as well as Poxeroni now making the rotation. There's 3 teams in the general vicinity here, and so we'll see how they make this rotate as DSB will use that Q to get to the safety of his team. Hasn't been able to get that red Evo shield quite yet as he's working with very limited resources. He's got, what, 2.5 clips after that? And so this is going to be difficult for them because they can't just poke willy-nilly. It's all going to be up to the wingman shots here, as we do see that is the team that's above them currently.
Yeah, and we know which team is sitting over towards the office where they were trying to rotate towards. That was going to be Protectful on his squad. So this was the first circle that we predicted, and this is what Sentinels predicted as well, which is why they took that fight inside of that building very early. This is going to end in the building, below the building, excuse me, that Sentinels is at. So Rogue is in a great spot, TSM's in a great spot, and all these teams on the outskirts, like you said, on the north side, are going to have to duke it out and try to push their way in. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a lot of resistance.
Now, is the crane in? That was actually something I was wondering here. Back on board with the out of bounds bandits, as they found a nice position for them. One player actually right above them. It looks like the team that was coming out from the tunnels here as Bowser is going to try and peek on over. We are afforded, of course, the nice information of X-Ray to see that they were able to safely make it through the Gibraltar bubble coming through. But I think Rogue are jumping on top of them right now as Matt Pickett goes down. I saw someone jumping down as well. Bowser trying to poke away here. But as we swap on over, the crane is in as we've got the knocks coming in. It's TSM that are able to challenge here. And he pulls out that wingman, but it's not going to be enough. Drop down to 1 HP. He backs away. No, it's Complexity that pushed this here.
Complexity taking out TSM with only 2 players here. Great job by them. They take a zip because they can't get up there naturally. Coming up behind with Devotion is Reptar. Now they're going to have a bunch of armor swaps up here as well. Good positioning. And you're wondering if the crane is in. It is, and it's going to be Complexity taking it. So again, it's going to end underneath this building here as we do see it rotate over there more towards the snake side. It's going to end right in front of that. So Complexity in a decent spot as they have the high ground here. This is exactly what they need to do. Use this charge rifle and try to bully Rogue off of the spot because that's the only team that's going to have an angle on them.
They've got a Devo as well, as you saw the ping coming in. And so already working with a numbers advantage, it looks like, I don't know what's going on. Technical difficulties with Monsoon as he's not in the server once again. Really unfortunate for them. But, you know, Complexity always try their best. I mean, take a look at what Liquid were able to do, right? They were down basically to a 2-man for the entirety of the tournament this weekend, but they still had a monstrous performance. And so that's why you can't count out any team, even if they lose one. And so that ring does pull again to the south once more as Bowser now pushing forward with his squad. It's going to be Tech trying to go in for the flank, but there's a full 3-man looking straight at him. And now things going south for them here as it looks like Rogue looking to pick up a lot of kill points. Squad gets finished off as just Shiv now left to his lonesome, backs away, but there's another squad watching that angle. Rogue will be able to finish it off now. Complexity, how did they get in here? Luckily for them, though, the lobby has been kind of weeded down, and so no one really in their way. So this could be a free rotation for them. We'll see, though, if Rogue spot them out and try to get some damage off of them. There it is. The G7 scouts in play. The first tag coming in from Sweet hits another one. It looks like they have a small pocket to work with, but they've got any nades. Rest assured, you got to know they're going to be thrown in there.
Yeah, Rogue is in such a great spot right now, and they've been picking up kill points on the way. Are they going to be the team that contests TSM as we take a look at where Sentinels was earlier? The portal's coming through. All these teams going to have to rotate directly to where Rogue's at, and they have the guns to be able to lay down the damage. Great positioning here from Sweet.
Reptar, though, doing a lot of work from his angle as I feel like he's picked up 3 already. Shiny finally does go down, and that's kind of what happens when you're playing the fridge, as they will knock them out. It's all down to 2 squads, and Rogue looking to really bounce back here in the leaderboard, as it's just Rogue versus Poxeroni, and so very important matchup here for the final 2 teams.
Yeah, big 3v3 right here. You have Rogue with more kills, so they seem to have a little bit more confidence. They should have a little bit more loot. You do see some initial damage coming right there onto Ronnie, but Drop is going to go and grapple out on the other side. So they're just trying to figure out how exactly they want to go and push this one, but it's going to be sniped down with the initial damage.
You can't push Snipe down when he's got that Prowler in play at that range. And it looks like Rogue now in the 3v1 looking to close this out. Unless some heroics come out here, but Rogue understand the position that they're in, right? They're not going to really overstep their bounds. They're going for the reset. Never mind, Snipe down. He wants to finish this all off. He wants this big dub, and they will be able to get it. No, Ronnie picks up two. What? No. All right, Snipe down. Will he be able to clutch it? He will. And Rogue get that victory. And oh man, I was talking about how they were taking this measured approach, right? They went for the reset here as Snipe Down was trying to put on a little bit pressure to make sure that the res doesn't come out. Almost got punished there, brought down to the 1v1, but like I said, he's got the Prowler, he's within range, and he does finish that one off.
That got scary right there. You don't want to see your two teammates drop right in front of you. Maybe Snipe Down let it happen so he could be the hero. He wanted to start the fight off, and then he wanted to finish it. But great job getting the initial knock. Great job by everybody in that fight right there. That's what you love to see at the end of an Apex tournament finals here. Just a straight up, no third parties, as we were saying to start the show. Duel 3 versus 3, and it comes out with Rogue on top.
Yeah, Rogue took a big win there, but you got to imagine that they're also thinking complexity, right? Being able to punish TSM. TSM, we're sitting at the top of the leaderboard with 46 points total. And in this game, I'm not too sure how many additional points that they were able to get. They got a lot of KP. We know that for sure, but their placement definitely not as high. And so kind of stemming the bleeding, they're stopping their kind of momentum and putting a stop to their back-to-back. It's going to be massive. And so with those three teams, with Poxroni, with Rogue, with Complexity all popping off, now they have a chance to really catch up to TSM here before we head into game number 4. We will go ahead and take a short break while we tally up the leaderboard and set up the lobby. But when we get back, it's going to be one hell of a final game number 4. Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Apex Legends Weekly here presented by Esports Arena. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Esports Arena North American Weekly here for Apex Legends, where we are heading into game number 4. And the landscape of the strategic environment has changed here as TSM now. Their lead has been dropped down to 10 points, but they are still sitting in first place, Tom. If we could take a look at the leaderboard to see exactly where we stand before we head into the final game of the evening. And it was honestly just 3 teams really fragging out here because they understood the time constraint that they were under. We're heading into game number 4, and here it is. 10-point lead now for TSM as Out of Bounds Bandits had a hell of a game number 3, but it was Rogue who honestly bounced back. I think one of the biggest comebacks here, taking that win in game number 3.
Yeah, huge game for Rogue. Out of Bound Bandits, they had a great game as well, as you just mentioned, but it was TSM getting taken out by the Complexity 2-man squad, which caught us all off guard last game on top of that yellow crane. So fantastic job by all the teams rotating on over towards sorting. It's pretty weird for me not to see Sentinels on this list, considering the fact that they won that opening team fight and they had good early position, but they fell short in their landing spot. Typically, when a team lands in a zone and it's going to end on your side, they seem to dominate those spots. But Rogue took their spot on top of that roof and ended it with a clean fight as Snipe Down, as we saw, picked up the first and last kill of that fight.
Yeah, we saw Sentinels biting off more than they can chew. They were feeling themselves, and honestly, I can see why. Before they went down in 11th place. They ended up getting 8 kill points in that game. So imagine if they had made it to the late game, they could be here within the top 5 as we head into the final game of the evening. Remember, it's only the top 2 that'll be placing into the money. Right now, those top 2. It's going to be the Out of Bound Bandits in second place and TSM with a 10-point lead in first place.
Yeah, and we're taking a look at Impulsive, Z Davis, and Borton. They dropped on over towards the Fragment side. We know TSM's on the opposite side of them. Snipe Down have had many parties with this guy. He starts this one. He gets a purple armor on top of the roof as well. So nice loot starting for Rogue. And it looks like Sentinels may be getting contested again because they had to throw it on a bubble.
Importantly, though, also Out of Bounds Bandits in a fight as well, as Bowser has gone down early on. So that could be a massive thing for TSM if they want to maintain their first place position here. That team going down early would be huge. And here it is, the fight over by Lava Fissure, as Shiv is able to heal up to the full, but he doesn't have any ammo as he backs away now. There it is. Never mind. It's going to be Tech backing away, as looks like he's just left his team by himself. An R301 for Tech as he'll swap off from that sniper. It looks like Shiv actually surviving for now. Still on 1 HP though. And recovery here is going to be so difficult for them, as it looks like he might just be opting for the full retreat. And it will be, if they do not take that fight, they'll get finished off. He'll have some time to try and recover their beacons, but the thing is, this team doesn't really have to move far at all, so I wouldn't be surprised they camp the banner. There's another team as well in play. The hostiles are detected as Drygo goes for that scan.
This is good for Tech, though. That may mean that his drone goes unseen as he goes and tries to get these banners, because he has the 200-meter range on that. He'll have to pick a spot and then probably go over the mountain, as it's going to be Crust getting knocked by Girth to start.
Luckily for him, his Q did go off here, but the push continues. It's going to be a 2v2, never mind. As, there we go. The knock might come in up to Senox. There we go. He goes down. It's all up to Pisher. He's got a purple armor in the 1v1, though, and it's just Girth with about 60 HP to work with. He pushes forward with that wingman, not able to hit the shots, going right into the railing now. The nade covers the retreat, but Pish is keeping an eye on him. Girth does get that armor swap, but a third party has come in, and now Pish is going to try and run away here, as Girth is going to try and go for the res.
Yeah, Girth could have possibly put some fences down, but it doesn't matter. He's going to get taken out inside of that office as we saw previously being held. Pish, he's running as well for his life. This is the team, I believe, that was over towards the tree side. So unfortunate for Sentinels that they end up having to fight over towards Sorting Factory. And then not only that, get this other team coming in, and not just a third party, Jamerson. It's a fourth party and possibly a fifth party.
Yeah, these are the 2 tree teams that it looks like they didn't fight, but Pish gets that knock onto 00, and they are kind of split up. There's an opportunity for him. He will be able to finish that off, and at least, get the kill point for themselves. We know that that right now Sentinels though are super behind on the leaderboard. They only had 15 points, picking that one up. I'm surprised that Peach, there we go, will be able to crank that bat in, but I believe the other teams are coming, or the other two players on that squad are coming in on board with helping Naughty and Bronzy here as they get into a fight with Shredder, getting that first knock, the charge rifle not hitting really, as Bronzy, he's going to get ported out. We'll see if he survives. For now, Naughty himself was cracked, but there we go. Drago is going to continue this push, and this is that opportunity we were talking about. Tech might have been able to pick up the banners. We'll see. The thirst does come out for them as Naughty does get finished off here. It's still a 2v2, as we'll see if another team in the area, and it is.
Has to be a team possibly that was over towards the train station side helping, gets these banners here, but he's going to have to dip out immediately. Only 4 cells, probably doesn't have much healing besides that. Hits the Wraith Q and dips out immediately. Like you said, they did get the banners, they do get the res, but it's going to be Tech getting taken out first. So unfortunate for Bowser and Shiv as they have to completely leave him. You see the hostiles detected. They have to play this so safe, no armor. Dire situation for our team in second place. Like you said, TSM has to be happy with this. Rogue sniped down, picking up a kill as well, drop finishing that one. So now possibly Rogue going to be able to move up and contest first place or at least second.
Yeah, so it looks like they were saved. Another fight breaking out over here by Drill Site. And this is kind of what we expect when we head into game number 4. The pace of the game goes so fast here. It's an impulsive dream going for that res. Looks like he was able to find a moment to go for that, but they're not going to be able to get this res safely here, right? It was already used, we saw just beforehand, by the out-of-bounds bandits. If they want to go for the res, they can go over to Lava Fissure, or they try to retreat all the way over to train station. TSM, though, making this rotation now, controlling the choke point here, as we do see the ring. And so this is one of those positions they love to play when they see this ring.
Nasty headshot from Albrelli right there. 127 dome. The portal comes out as they're trying to get their boy out of there, but it's going to be the fat grapple coming in. This is why I love watching Albrelli play Pathfinders. They are going to try to stick this res, but you already have Albrelli on top of it, finishing the knock that he already got, or at least re-knocking him. And this is full send mode here for TSM as they continue to charge in.
Yeah, unfortunately, of course, the cooldown timer, he still has 15 seconds left on that grapple, but they cover that, and it looks like the res will not go off, and so it's going to be a 2v3. TSM, though, still playing this cautiously. As you can see, it's just reps and Albert Lilly down here. Hal still holding the high ground for his team, so I love how they're playing this position right now. I love how cautiously they're playing it. They understand they're in first place. They want to secure this W.
It's not just his movement on Pathfinder, it's his shot. It's just the lore of playing Pathfinder, the confidence that you get from flying around the map and just knowing that you can collapse on people at any given point in time. You could take off angles, things like that. That's why I love seeing him play on Pathfinder, but you do have Rogue picking up some kills on the way. And keep in mind, they were our third place team. Second place team has either been eliminated or is at least in dire straits right now where they are just poverty central. So TSM, they do have the lead. They're going to continue to try to pile on this one, but it's Rogue versus TSM right now to see who could take first.
Yeah, we're already down to 16 squads. If we can take a moment to hit that tab button to look at the scoreboard, and it looks like, oh no, Complexity has 2 DCs. Oh my gosh, this is so bad for them. Rogue are still in it with 1 KP so far. And it looks like Shiv and Bowser are still alive. And so that second place team, they are still a threat here. So TSM doing a really great job, not getting too antsy here. They have a 10-point lead currently. They picked up a KP right there. And again, it's about finishing out strong here in game number 4.
Yeah, and they have the choke, so they're in a great spot. They've been in this position a million times. They want to continue to try to bully these guys over towards the right side if there is anybody. You can own a lot of real estate here. Very rarely does a team own both of these choke points. Typically, there's one team that's fighting and one team that's locking down another side, excuse me. But they're so confident because of the fact they got this knock here. And there it is, another headshot from Albrelli. 127 Skull Piercer to the dome.
Yeah, I love the reintroduction of that Skull Piercer. Just makes your shots just feel meatier there as they finish off Gobble. That's going to be 2 KP for them now. And like you had mentioned, yeah, it's super important that, generally, It's two teams, right? One controlling either choke point, but without Liquid in the lobby, they're not challenged at all whatsoever. So TSM, we understand how good of a job they do in controlling real estate. Al does have to be careful here. It's Rogue that are coming in, and Rogue want to take this fight, but Albralele is able to get out of there with the Q along with Imperial Hal. We'll see if Reps can cover this retreat for them. The nades are coming in as Reps will be able to expertly dodge that, and they are able to retreat, but Snipe down. He wants this kill. He wants to get the knock, and he does so much damage with that R301. He's getting within that Prowler range as well. Didn't see if he had the select fire on it, if he's got the full auto, but they do slow it down just a little bit. They know that the space was created for them, as now they are pushing forward. Snipe down slowly creeping up, but he is pinned down. He's hitting the blue armors. He's hitting Flesh. He's going to go ahead and back away here as he's letting Sweet and Drop try and finish it off. But now the tables have been turned here. It's a 2 for 2, and there might just be a full reset. No, the damage is coming in. Dropped has to back away as Rogue were not able to finish them off. Albralele will get rezzed up.
There's a charge rifle coming in from the back, so Albralele does get rezzed. This was basically the tournament right here. You could see Sweet trying to find a little spot that he could get over towards Reps, almost gets ripped by that charge rifle, and that charge rifle player in third party stops this fight right in its tracks. Unfortunate for Rogue, they do lose a player throughout that, especially when they had the initial damage. So TSM feeling really good as we take a look at fight happening over towards train station. It's going to be Rakinishu, Pickett, and Crummy with the cleanup.
And this was the squad AMG 00 in them that got involved in helping knock out Sentinels early on. Take a look at that. We've got a cluster of teams still over at that choke. There are some that are playing over to the northwest, and so we saw a lot of fighting early on going on over there. Snipedown did get a knock onto Yo-Yo, but TSM now, they want to pay them back. It's the clapback coming out as Drop does finish off Yo-Yo, and Hal will be able to finish off Stomps. But TSM, they want Rogue. They want to take them out of here.
It's going to have to be some heroics from Snipedown or Dropped if they want to try to win this tournament. They're going to have to win a 2 versus 3 against TSM. TSM's probably going to add a lot of pressure on these guys and not try to let them rotate. They know which team it is. If this is the team that gets taken down, they do win the tournament. But they also have to keep one person back to watch their back over towards the choke just in case a third party comes or anybody rotates over towards that side. So probably it's going to be Hal that adds the pressure as Albralele just takes a off angle with the Pathfinder, and then they'll just continue to gather these resources from all the kills that they got. So you can see it's going to be Albralele just checking multiple spots with this longbow. Hey, and he's got it scoped finally, Jamerson.
But after that fight from Rogue, after that push from Rogue, TSM did have to give up some ground, right? We were talking about how they were controlling 2 choke points, but now it's going to be Frapper, Protectful, and Kupski that have been able to move in here. And so this is another good position to be able to control as we see that ring pulling up to the north. And we see why teams play this. Bowser has been able to pick up 2 kills here. And so the out-of-bounds Bandits not out of it yet, still in second place here, picking up the KP.
Yeah, I think they're shorthanded since Tech is down as well. I don't think they were able to get the respawn on him, so great job by the out-of-bounds Bandits. You can't count them out. If they're able to milk some placement points, that's going to be great for them, but they're getting kill points on the way as we take a look at Sanya and his squad. Xrani coming in here with the Prowler, has the Select Fire and a Mag with the Digi-Threat, one of my favorite combos. They're going to try to go on Dorito here, Jamerson.
They have to be careful. It's Rogue they're actually trying to chase down right now. Rogue, we're trying to make a really wide wrap to the western side before the zone starts closing, before they lose that opportunity here, because again, they didn't want to push into the choke that TSM were controlling. So I agree with this rotation, but it's very unfortunate that they ended up facing up against an entire squad. It looks like they are going to give up this hunt, and so Rogue have the opportunity to make this rotate now, probably go all the way up. And there it is. You see them on that map trying to push up from the west-hand side. Shiv continuing to find kills here over at Frag East. And you can't count out any team again, even if you're left as a duo here. And that res isn't enough as Bowser pushes it. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Gets knocked out and finished off. And they've got the 2 purple armors. They are not going to relent on the pressure as Swarzy gets finished off. He's going to go ahead and drop down to the depths below, as Shiv and Bowser, the out-of-bound Bandits, are continuing to get the kill points here, the much-needed ones, as they have to close that gap up against TSM.
Yeah, and what's interesting for TSM and for Rogue is they don't realize that this team is shorthanded. Tech's respawn has timed out. They're going to have to do this with just a two-man squad, but it looks like they have been able to wipe multiple squads so far, and this circle's really fun. I like seeing this zone, and we've had some great job by the spectators where we get a good area of real estate owned by each team. And this is one of those checklist things that we were talking about, Jamerson, where TSM, they wanted to hold 2 chokes. They couldn't do that anymore, so they had to just hold 1 because Protectful and his team rotated. But here's another spot that's on that checklist, around that 3rd or 4th spot that you want to go and hold. And this is going to be Huge Gorilla, Sheeny, and Monkey locking down this little small choke. Not necessarily a choke, but you can make a choke out of just the map and the way that the zone has to close.
It's Matt Packett, Rekinishu, and Crummy here, as they do have a nice headshot to work with along, of course, this high ground position. But we saw the pings earlier on from the team that we were spectating before. They are thinking this ring does pull over the crates, and more than likely it will. And there it is, continuing to go center of the zone time and again. So now it's a full 3v3 fight over the western edge.
Yeah, this is a very important fight because now you own this side, but you have to be careful of the teams that are on the choke. So this has to be clean if it's going to be the case. We see the Gibraltar all coming down, and it's taking some damage right there, about 170 damage going in, but you do have the bubble for the fast healing. Will he be able to hit a med kit? Because if he can't, then Pickett and friends are going to be able to capitalize.
Yeah, they're right on top of them right now. Doesn't actually see him. There we go. Spots him out as he tries to go for the full retreat. That shift going down. Very unfortunate for them now. I believe just down to a solo now. And we'll see if he can rat it out. There he is. We see him on the north side of the map. No respawns for him to work with as well. Shinny PC has gone down, but looks like the res comes out. It's, I think, Shiny just as a solo.
Solo Shiny?
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate Shiny not giving up. Very unfortunate for Complexity. Sorry, guys, that there seem to be some sort of server issues. Hopefully will never happen again, but still nonetheless a great game that we have on our hands. 8 squads left. This death zone, zone 4, approaching shortly. You can just see how important it is to get into these choke points, as you don't want to have to deal with someone like Frapper just dropping 110s on you back to back.
So a little bit of information as well. The Walton Trap getting clear here. Sanya is on the front line with that Wraith. He has to pop that Q. Such a long animation there, but you've got that extra second to work with in the Wraith form to get out, and so they'll be able to cover the retreat, but they've got 20 seconds left to work with, and the zone is going to start closing in on them. But that's a nice big nade coming in from DSB. That might be the window of opportunity for them, as he's getting some good shots off. There we go. It looks like the flank coming in from TSM as well is going to open up the window of opportunity for Pox Ronnie to try and come in. They regroup as a full 3. So TSM, they're saviors here. So the Gatekeeper is getting finished off, and now TSM are the team that they have to contend with.
And we were talking about that a couple of minutes ago, where the teams that are in the chokes love to go and check each other once in a while, and whatever team gets in a little tiff here, and that's what happened, is Hal's going to take advantage of that and put the portal down, as they still have this portal to work with. So assume that without that thing being Watsoned off by the enemy team, they're going to just continue to add pressure there so they can eliminate the amount of randomness that comes down and try to pick up kill points on the way.
Look at Tech trying to rat his way on in. He has TSM to his south. This is important here. Oh, excuse me, Bowser, not Tech. Tech was the first one out. Bowser picks up one onto Protectful, but we'll see how long he can rat. Again, it's these 2 squads. It might be out of reach, though, for the out-of-bounds bandits. But again, you don't give up. There's still 10 possible kill points. You know, best case scenario, right? He can pull out a first place win and pick up every single kill. Probably not going to happen, but
1 nade, Bowser wins the tournament. Everyone's in the final circle. He throws it right in the air, gets 10 kills.
We've seen TSM do that in the past. It was that Lava City zone with Albert Lely coming in with a huge nade, but again, oh, he spotted out. TSM playing with their food. It's actually Pride that was left at a solo there. Okay, never mind.
We know Bowser's not that easy, okay? We saw in the 3 versus 1. This guy is a sneaky little snake. Looks like he's going to be able to still continue to rat this one out, possibly over the bridge side where he's just camping underneath that one. He's going to make a late rotation, and keep in mind he is Wraith, so he could make a Q play, he could phase in, he could set the portal down. but we all know where this one's ending, right at those blue crates. No team set up there quite yet because there's just so many areas that you have to go and gatekeep. No Watsons, no Caustics in the vicinity. So TSM, they're going to try to get some damage down with this longbow from Albarelli. You have reps there with the
Oh,
Kraber dropping 152, and that's going to open things up for TSM.
oh, just narrowly getting into that portal in time. That could have been the knock that opened things up. But yeah, we have to remember game number one started off. It was a 1v3, right? That's how we ended it with Bowser taking the 1v3 up against TSM. Will we end it the same way now as the zone starts closing in? TSM has a little bit, it's a slower circle side for them, but it looks like Bowser now should be going down very shortly here as the ring starts closing in. TSM creeping up with it as well. Abralele will pop that bat, but nice nades, nice thermals doing so much damage here as Imperial Hal will push up. Not getting the knock quite yet, but he's got that massive there and his team coming in, but Rex will go down. And so this is a moment as all three teams are just fighting it out. It's all up to Imperial Hal here. There's a moment, there's an opportunity as we're down to the final two squads. Don't quite know who the champion squad is. I hope, can we just hold on to the screen, so we can get the final confirmation about the champion squad here. But with how big of a lead that TSM had, they should have been able to secure it. It's going to be Rakinishu, Crummy, and Matt Pickett that take game number 4.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure why Hal decided he wanted to queue right there. Maybe his teammates didn't say that they were with him, but as soon as he queues out, he leaves his team and his teammates came right in. He only took 25 damage before he decided to queue. I feel like TSM is going to have enough points to win this tournament, but Hal had so much damage right there. I thought he was just going to finish the job, continue to put the belly on him. And that's what we're seeing, these small little differences. You never see Hal make mistakes, right? But since the nerfs to Wraith have come out, it's changed things a little bit. You can't go in there and just pressure, 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 pressure. You have to think about when you're going to take damage, and how a little early on the queue right there backs out. His teammates go in. Bad timing. Unfortunate for TSM.
Yeah, we were left, of course, basically in that kind of final three squad situation where it's the first team that initiates and the standoff kind of throws it for the other, right? And the third team that wasn't involved in the fight is able to take advantage of that. But there were still a lot of factors to work with. And I understand why, of course, Hal wanted to push that. Here it is once again with the replay. He's getting the thermal ticks onto two players, gets a nice 90 there as well with the nade, cracking the armor. And he tries to push forward with it. The Mastiff just at that range, when you're not ADS and you're not going to be able to get as many big hits. And despite some good knocks, it just was not quite enough. But TSM, they're happy with the first two victories they took, getting a great game number 4 here as well. They should have been able to secure it as we saw a lot of the teams that were in position to try and challenge them, they got taken out. And Poxrani, even though they were able to make it into the top 3 there was a huge discrepancy in points. They were down by 23 points to TSM.
Yeah, 23 points is not going to be enough to cut it. TSM, like you were saying, they had such a good lead. They were already keeping track of the players that were on the map. The threats have already been eliminated, and they basically won this tournament once they were able to take out one of the players on Rogue. Once Sweet overextended a little bit and that third party from the Geyser side came in, they were really feeling good about themselves. Tech had been taken out early in the game as well. So TSM, they saw themselves in the final circles almost every single game this tournament, and just continued to show why they're one of the best teams in the world. But it was a great third party there by Pickett and Rakanushi's squad, right? If you're LG, you're hoping that you could just stay on that, fence, just sit there, play it safe for a little bit. But there was just so much damage from TSM. I would have loved to see Hal stay in that fight, clean these guys up, and potentially win that fight, even while still being weak afterwards as a third party came in. I feel like they're skilled enough to do that.
And I don't disagree with Rogue's play there as well. They were down by 14 points to TSM, and they had them right in front of them. So going for that play, I think is what you need to go for if you want to go ahead and win that. You have to remember that they were sitting in third place, I believe, heading into game number 4. So a lot of things had to happen if they wanted to take first. TSM needed to die early on, and they needed a big kill point game. And so right now, as we are tabulating the results, we're just waiting to see secure, I think at this point, to see who ended up coming in second place.
Yeah, they're playing for second place because TSM just so dominant in this tournament finals. Unfortunate for the rest of the teams that they just couldn't keep up because of the fact that they came out so hot. I believe almost 50 points after the first two games, still finding themselves in the final circle in that last game right there. And even in game three, they were right there towards the end and sorting. It was just complexity with the two-man squad coming up over towards the Yellow Crane that stopped them from being able to get into really good position. We could have saw them almost win all four games here. So they're really feeling themselves. We were talking about in the pregame how much we wanted to see them come out full force, and they were able to do so. It's so fun to watch them play. But like you were saying, Jamerson, Rogue having to take out TSM, it's just how are you going to do it once you have to climb up this giant hill where TSM's already ADSing you, and then you have another team that's shooting you in the back. So Rogue with the right mindset, just with a very tough position to try to work their way up that hill.
Yeah, TSM did a great job of retreating as well. Of course, Aberlele still had his Q. I believe Hal still had his Q as well. And so once you're able to create that distance, and you're the team that's pushing has to push uphill, it becomes such a difficult task. And you got to see exactly why. I believe it was Snipedown that was also leading the charge, who was closest to the squad. But yeah, Sweet going down first on that Wraith, unable to get out of there. Rogue tried their best to rotate on out, but again, I don't disagree with the decision. It's in these weeklies, it's you either go big or you go home, and TSM definitely went massive in that last game, in the first two games as well. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard. It looks like we do have the final tally up, and so it is, of course, TSM taking that win. But oh, take a look at second place there. 12 inchers will be able to come in to snipe basically the second place position from the out of bounds Bandits, who just had a very rough start to game number 4.
You could just see how top heavy these points are, but we had so many skilled teams in this one, just such a differential between the top five and below. But out of bound bandits, you gotta feel for them. They were looking so good. They were griefing so many teams outside of the zone. It was so fun to watch these guys play a mix match together of three different pro players. But what a tournament! And congrats to all the teams that came in, especially to TSM and the 12 inchers.
Yeah, and so out of bounds bandits, by the way, we saw, of course, Bowser was kind of ratting there, and we see why the rat game has to be strong. If it comes down to a difference of 1 point, like we have here in this tournament of placing in the money, I mean that's kind of what happened here. The out of bounds bandits ended up getting 7 kills and ended up in 4th place. Imagine if he had just survived to 3rd. That's going to be 2nd place for them. That's where they get into the money. But congratulations to 12 inchers. They had a massive game, a 17 kill game, along with the victory for the come from behind win. That's 29 points. That's more points than their first 3 games combined. And
Yeah,
so we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we've got some plays to break down. If you guys want to stick with us, of course, just stick through the break and we'll have that section for us. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. This is the Apex Legends North American Weekly here, presented by the Esports Arena. said just before the break, TSM with a huge tournament here. Such consistent performance coming out from them. The only bad one was, of course, game number 3, but this was game number 1, and where it all started for them. It's the 1v3 that Bowser tried to take commendably, but TSM was able to win that one out. And then, of course, the back-to-back. Love to hear that coming out for TSM.
Yeah, and this was the zone that ended in the park as we were predicting. And it was the 301 with the 3x from Hal just dominating this portion of the map. Just look at that damage. Jamerson hasn't missed a shot. And it's just 3 clips in a row, which is just absolutely ridiculous. You love to see the aggression coming in from these guys as they fly in with the help.
Yeah, it really does bring me back to like when I first started playing the game, and I loved using the 301 with the 3x, and everyone was just like, "Ugh, yuck!" But it's slowly becoming the wave. This was, I believe, game number 4, and this was the moment that Rogue really needed to take advantage, and we understand the urgency here as they were able to get some good damage off across, but it's the alternator of all things coming out from Albert Laley, kind of just putting them at bay here. Rogue, it was sweet. That tried to push up on the right hand side, had no cover to work with, was just free to get shot down from TSM. TSM able to stabilize here, with that great performance that came out from 12 inches as well in game number 4. This was crucial for TSM to win out and survive into the late game.
Yeah, that was definitely the moment of the tournament. As you see, TSM still in a great position, just killing all the rats in their areas. They want to go and push in. 50 seconds on the mark is exactly when you want to go and do that. Great tournament overall, and TSM looking strong.
Yeah, so I just want to, of course, thank everyone for hanging out. TSM with a massive win, 10-point lead above our second place, but that's 12 inches also getting some cash in hand. That's going to be $300 going over to them. TSM taking 700. So congratulations to both TSM and 12 inchers. That's going to go ahead and do it for us. From me, from Tom, from everyone at Esports Arena. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you guys next week for another North American Apex Legends Weekly. See you guys then.